Hello. Today's main topic of our lecture is to creating, modifying, and deleting entities. Just three simple things. Create and modify. Delete entities. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, this. Okay. Right. Entities recognize and capture specific pieces of information in the user input. In our flower shop chain chatbot, people asking us about store hours and locations might provide a specific location. In our fictitious flower shop chain, we have stores in Toronto, Montreal, Calgary, and Vancouver. So, when a user asks, "Where is your Toronto store?" we shouldn't ignore that extra bit of information so that we can take the location into account when formulating a response. We can start by creating a at location entity for those cities. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is in your skill here, click on entities. Right here, click the create entity button. You might want to read this. What is an entity? Entities are like nouns or keywords. By building out your business terms in entities, your assistant can provide targeted responses to queries. Right? So create entity. Choose location as the entity name. Right? Note that the add symbol is automatically added for you, and leave fuzzy matching know what this part enable so that we can still detect the city name even if the user misspells it. Okay, finally click the create entity button. Right? So you will prompted to enter entity values and possible synonyms here. So in here, the value column, enter Montreal, and then click add value. See, to add this entity value to our entity. Generally speaking, you only need a synonym for cities, but you might include some if the city has common nicknames, or if people refer to your store location by its street or neighborhood in the city. Nearby small cities and towns can also act as synonyms. After all, if people are asking about your store in a nearby town, they might be happy with an answer for the nearest city. Essentially, a synonym is not necessarily the dictionary definition of synonym, though those are good candidates for synonyms as well when it makes sense. For example, we could have an entity called relationship. Okay, and the entity value relationship mother, with mom as a synonym for that value. When the user enters the question including the word mom, Watson will detect relationship mother, the entity value for that synonym. Okay, repeat the process for Calgary and Vancouver. Calgary Vancouver. Next, add Toronto as well. But for Toronto, add Warren Avenue as a synonym. Walden Avenue as a synonym. See? Okay, then add value. Okay. Click on the back arrow in the top left to go back to your skill. Shoop. Open Try It Out panel and wait for Watson to finish training. See, Watson is training. It takes time. Okay, it's done. So, we are gonna try Warden app. I didn't understand. Warden app. Right? Then Warden Avenue. Irrelevant. But still, you see location Toronto and Toronto. See? Even though we haven't entered Walden Avenue spelled exactly as defined in the synonyms, fuzzy matching helps our chatbot detect the right entity value. It's worth noting that entity values can also have patterns accessible from synonym drop-down. You see name, this one, pattern. A pattern is an advanced feature that allows you to detect an entity value based not on a specific string, e.g. is a synonym, but rather on a specific pattern like a properly formatted phone number, email address, or website address. If you are a programmer, it's worth noting that you specify your pattern as a regular expressions, like this, to detect that a North American phone number was provided. If you are not a programmer, you can safely ignore this advanced feature. Okay, at any time, you can click on entity value here, entity value, to edit its name or synonym. So you need to know entity name and value. Type it something and the synonym. Okay, and if you click add value, and then the word should seen in here. At any time, you can click on entity value to edit its name or synonym. Entity values are allowed to have spaces in them. When you first create an entity value, you are given the option to click on the Show Recommendations button here to select some synonyms from a list provided by Watson. Yeah, so try out this feature. Click on Entities and click on the location entity. Then select the location Vancouver entity value by clicking on it. A Watson icon will appear. See, this is a Watson icon. So click on it. Oh, Watson will make a few suggestions. For example, for Vancouver, it will suggest a few nearby cities as well as other major cities in Canada. Select Burnaby as a synonym, and then click the Add Selected button. Finally, click on the X icon to close the recommendation section. And use the Try It Out panel to test out these entity values. The Watson training because we edited something. Okay. The Watson has finished the training, then I'm gonna type in some questions. Okay. What are your hours of operation in Montreal? Location, Montreal, hours information, and where is your Burnaby store? Located, location information, and Montreal and Burnaby is Vancouver. Burnaby, Vancouver. To see. Awesome. Well, we can now recognize the intent as well as the cities corresponding to our stores. But what happens when the user enters hours for Seattle or hours for Mumbai where we don't have a store? Try it and see. Okay. Like when opens theater, like that. Irrelevant. Or where is Mumbai? Irrelevant. You will notice that since we don't have the entity value for Seattle or Mumbai, neither will be picked up as an entity value. So this is not necessarily a problem because we can structure our chatbot to provide a generic informative response if no recognized location is indicated. But what if we want to detect all locations to provide a more customized response, i.e., unfortunately, we don't have a store in Seattle. We'd need an impractical large entity of our own that includes a list of all major cities. So, yeah, it's inefficient. As we will see in the next lecture, this is something that can instead be easily achieved with a system entity. Okay, so to practice creating a new entity of your choice with some values and then deleting it. Okay, creating a new. The process is very similar to that of the intent. Inside the entities, you select the check mark next to the entity you created and no longer want, and then click the delete button that appears. You want to see? Alright. new entity, and like if I like home home and 물건 and add, okay, home and then delete. Yeah. See, this process is very similar to that of intent. Okay, inside of intent, select the check mark next to the entity you created and no longer want, and then click the delete button that appears. Clear, right? Okay, this is it. Bye.